There was a new headquarters befitting the club's sense of ambition, and very soon a new man in charge of team affairs. United's first real manager took the reins the following year. Ernest Magnall arrived from Burnley, and the talent to make the club truly successful for the first time soon followed. One of the first players to wear shorts above his knees, £400 centre-half Charlie Roberts from Grimsby. In a famous half-back line, he was flanked by Alex Bell and the sturdy Dick Duckworth. In Magnall's third full season in charge, they steered United to promotion and the quarter-finals of the FA Cup. But whisper it, this was very much Manchester's second team. Rival City were already a top-flight side. They had won the Cup. In 1906, Magnall paid £500 for their star turn, the charismatic Billy Meredith. Banned in bribery and illegal payment scandals, but an irresistibly magnetic force who was to prove something of a Pied Piper. Britain's best fullback, Herbert Burgess, followed him across town, along with striker Jimmy Bannister. The league title was on the way too. Whereas City had never managed to win the Championship, in 1908 their old boys Meredith, Burgess, Bannister and co. won it by a country mile, setting a new league points record. Showing the way to goal in that team, another cross-border acquisition, Sandy Turnbull, a cup winner with City, the scorer of the cup winner for United in 1909.
Mulga, Stacey and Hayes, Duckworth, Robertson, Bell, Meredith, Holst, Turnbull and Wall. At Crystal Palace, 1-0.
Turnbull's goal came in the 22nd minute after Holst had struck the Bristol City crossbar. Meredith was named man of the match. The team spent Sunday and Monday revelling and sightseeing in London, returning to a Lord Mayor's reception at the Town Hall on Tuesday with United's first FA Cup. But a couple of months later, the same players were outcasts, suspended by the authorities for their determination to stand by their rights to belong to a players' union. Happily, the powers that be backed down because United were about to take one of their most momentous steps. In February 1910, the club moved to Old Trafford, a new stadium financed by J.H. Davis, who had plunged a massive £60,000 into the project. In front of 50,000 or more, Liverpool were the first opponents. Sandy Turnbull scored the historic first goal at the stadium, but the visitors spoiled the party, winning 4-3. It was over 18 months before United lost another game at their famous home. October 1910, the first moving pictures of football at Old Trafford. Pictures never before broadcast. This was United in their second Championship season at home to Newcastle. It was the climax of the Magnall era, and it was to be the club's last title for more than 40 years. These are unique images of a bygone era of sharp hats and droopy moustaches, referees in lounge suits, players in button vests and knee-length shorts and hobnail boots. A mystical football world that had to be seen to be believed.
One of my great thrills was leaving the ground in a massive crowd as a youngster and going over the railway bridge to the tram car, quite a distance, lifting my feet up off the ground and being carried along by the crowd. I thought it was wonderful. I quite looked forward to that at the end of the match.
At the end of the season, United put 5 past Sunderland, whilst the title favourites Aston Villa were tripping over struggling Liverpool. Champions by a single point. But the times were changing. J.J. Bentley took over as secretary-manager as Magnall departed for Manchester City of all places. The title team was breaking up quickly, and in 1914, John Robson was recruited from Brighton to try and revive the club's fortunes. War intervened, and United emerged on the other side in the charge of yet another manager, John Chapman, and different players like Frank Barson, a Sheffield blacksmith turned centre-half. Geordie Minor, Joe Spence, who played a then record 510 games for the club at outside right. And gentleman Clary Hilditch, who actually had a spell as player-manager in the mid-20s following Chapman's mysterious suspension by the FA. It had been a modest spell for the club, 3 seasons spent in the second division, promotion in 1925 offering only brief encouragement. Secretary Walter Crickmer was for a while temporary manager after United had first turned to Middlesbrough's Herbert Bamlett, once a league referee. It was one of the more unfashionable spells in their history. A cup tie at Bury, of all places, a cause for some considerable excitement at the time. The 1930s were a decade of depression for United. After losing their first 12 games of the season, they plummeted back into Division 2. The supporters had seen enough. They vowed to boycott the home match with Arsenal. 3,000 or more squeezed into a public protest meeting. For the final fixture of that relegation season, less than 4,000 turned up at Old Trafford. But again, there was a man for the crisis. James W. Gibson, a textile magnate who pledged more than £30,000 to save United from going to the war. Acrimoniously, he swept aside the old board of directors and became chairman himself, currying favour with press and public alike and launching an appeal for a further £20,000 in return for a guarantee of a fresh start for the club. Just as J.H. Davis had saved the day 30 years earlier, J.W. Gibson emerged as United's knight in shining armour. For the long-suffering fans, anyone would do. But it got worse before it got better. Relegation had become an occupational hazard, and despite the appointment of Scott Duncan as manager, the class of 1934 actually flirted with demotion to the 3rd Division. Only victory away to fellow strugglers Millwall could spare them from the trapdoor. Goals from Tom Manley and Jack Cape were amongst the most vital in the club's history. United stayed in the 2nd Division, but in the very same week, City, with one Matt Busby in their team, were winning the FA Cup.
When did you start following United? How old were you?
I was about 6 years old, 1936. My father took me on the tram from Clayton, and it cost twopence halfpenny.
How much was it to get in? Was that twopence halfpenny to get in?
Sixpence for me and a shilling for my dad. That was the old 5p and 2.5p for me. Penny for the programme. When I got older, I used to go down on your bike, and you leave your bike in the backyard for twopence.
Was there still a glamour, a mystique about Manchester United then, or was it just run-of-the-mill side?
No. In fact, they had a nickname called the Rags in those days, but I stuck by them.
What was it like then, Old Trafford?
Well, it was nothing like it is today. I mean, the crowds was roughly about 20,000. The atmosphere is totally different. I mean, there's no singing and chanting, and rattles, of course. And I was a Stretford ender from being 6.
Really?
Yep. They used to toss up, and United attacked the Stretford end first half. And what we used to do at half-time, we'd go round the back and go right to the other end and get behind the goals in the other end, so they'd get behind the goals again. I can remember the team: Breen, Redwood, Rawton, Brown, Vos, McRae, Bryant, Much, Bamford, Baird and Manley.
1936, another false dawn. Champions of the 2nd Division, the first trophy for 25 years. 1937, instant relegation, and in a Manchester City Championship season. But in 1938, it was City's turn to bite the dust as United came up again on goal average. These were roller coaster days for Mancunians. Every ladder climb seemed to lead only to another snake to slide down.
Arsenal in white shirts came out first at Highbury for their tie against Manchester United, and as the visitors took the field, they little knew what was in store for them. Weather conditions were appalling, but the cup holders took no account of that, nor did the spectators. The first goal came from Bastin, after a clever movement on the wing. Soon after that first blood came an unlucky incident for Manchester. Brown, trying to clear, sent the ball through his own goal, and Arsenal eventually won 5-0.
But new faces were coming into the side who were here to stay. For the princely sum of £250, Johnny Carey from Dublin. From Bournemouth, 19-year-old gunner Jack Rowley, a prolific goalscorer costing £3,000. Into the team at the tender age of 17, Stan Pearson, a boyhood fan from Salford. And big Alan B. Chilton from County Durham, who made his United debut on the day before war broke out in 1939.
the flames of war heated the heart of Manchester. In one of the fiercest raids of the German blitzkrieg on Britain, a storm of bombs wreaked havoc in this proud city. But they leave it a prouder city still. Manchester will remember the horrors of that attack as long as the heart of the North continues to beat. But she will remember its glories too. The selfless service and dauntless courage with which her people met their hour of trial.
March 1941, and German bombs aimed at the Trafford Park industrial estate blitzed the United ground. It would be 8 years before football could be played there again.
Manchester's bomb-scarred Old Trafford ground. Home of great matches of the past, Old Trafford reckons on a bumper coming season for Manchester United. And way up on the terraces, the wartime weeds haven't long to live.
In the interim, United came to an agreement with their neighbours to play their home matches at Main Road, paying City around £5,000 a year for the privilege. It was here, on enemy territory, that a United dynasty was born.